Okay, was not expecting the video to do that well. Time to cash in some more. And if you haven't seen it, don't worry, both are standalone. But I am gonna sell out and tell you to check out the first video regardless. Quick note, this is just for entertainment. I got some comments talking about how I'm overthinking the show and lore and I'm a bit of an idiot. Yes, that is the point. The video is supposed to be funny. I don't actually seriously care about these inconsistencies. I would just like to make that crystal clear because it's a cartoon, guys. The history of Bikini Bottom is quite the load of barnacles. If we believe what the museum in town states, Bikini Bottom has changed many times. We have Bikini Bottomshire, from ye old Dunces and Dragons, which has the expected medieval stuff, shops, and separated houses, mainly for farming from what it looks like. There also have been multiple wars and conflicts, if Battle of Bikini Bottom and the Krusty Krab training video are anything to go by. There was a really good comment on the original video on this topic, and they made a good point of noting how Bikini Gulch, formerly Deadeye Gulch, was a minuscule outpost, not even really a town. Now, Pest of the West, the episode featuring the actual town, does have a quick throwaway to Patrick Revere, who warned of the incoming mollusks. Based off the attire and culture, this is assumed late 1700s to early 1800s. So using our amazing knowledge of American history and very obvious context clues, Pest of the West's main flashback is probably turn of the century. I mean, come on, they have a rail line. My best guess is Gulch will actually grow into Bikini Bottom due to the railway. There's a reason why back in the day, if you got a railway, your town skyrocketed in development. Take any super huge city in America, research the history, and you'll probably find some kind of railway tied to it. But then this begs the question, what is Bikini Gulch's export? How do they get products and, more importantly, money in their town? They don't seem to farm, have limited shops, and even the flagship Krabby Patty seemingly hasn't been invented yet. You could also argue Bikini Gulch actually was doing well, as in one of the song numbers for the episode. Good old Picos, Pecos, Picasso Patrick notes how, and I quote, "Oh, Bikini Gulch was a purty place with a sweet water and blue sky, till one day a beast come a-riding from the east by the name of Old Deadeye." So from this, we can take away that the east was more populated, and likely wherever Patrick Revere was located is also somewhere east coast, for lack of a better term. I'm assuming it's based on American history, seems pretty obvious. Now, besides the Krabby Patty missing, you might be wondering, who the fish paste is Deadeye Plankton? Where did he come from? And you're not going to believe this, but I actually have a semi-understandable answer. If we believe the SpongeBob YouTube channel, the Plankton family is all connected. So Planktonomore, Deadeye, and modern-day Plankton are all related. In one of the many mobile games called SpongeBob's Idle Adventures, we can actually meet who Deadeye got engaged to. Now, I considered playing the game for you guys, but about 45 seconds in, I realized this was a mistake, so instead, I'm just going to steal an image from the wiki. Thanks, SpongeBob Wiki. Say hello to Cashmere. Since I also feel like being difficult today, we could consider this comic from SpongeBob Comics number 4, a Plankton family tree. His supposed great-grandparents came to Bikini Bottom when they were run out of their homeland for scheming. I went down a rabbit hole looking for the origin of one of the names, but didn't really find any conclusive info, unless it's supposed to be a reference to this, Polish singer. Also, I just want to say, as I was looking for history on the name Basia, I want to say, this website's name of the day was Silas, which was just a mere 2 generations away. Do you ever feel like fate or destiny is a real thing sometimes? But basically, it just seems Deadeye came before even Plankton's great-grandparents. Does this mean anything or hold any kind of actual value? I don't know, man. You're watching a SpongeBob YouTube video. You think you're gonna get conclusive answers? One of the more frequent replies I got was the origin of the Krabby Patty, and oh boy, this one is difficult. So trying to make some kind of crackhead theory is nearly impossible, since the show contradicts itself multiple times. Sadly, I'm not any of the amazing SpongeBob theory YouTubers, and I lack the analytical ability to make these kinds of connections, but I'll try anyways. If we want to believe friend or foe, the Krabby Patty formula originates from a quite literal split between crabs and plankton. At the same time, Krabby Patty seem to originate in Dunces and Dragons, albeit from a time travel problem. SpongeBob heads back in time and winds up giving King Krabs some patties, which leads him to making the hamburger we all know and love. But also an enemy-in-law, it's said to be an old family recipe. A really good comment from the first video says all of this is due to time travel, which, yeah, honestly, makes sense to me. But I also really like a different take on this. It's all fake. We don't know the origin, and that is the point. Krabs has shown on multiple times he is a greedy, smart, and especially cheap businessman. If there is a secret ingredient or formula, he would take every effort to hide it, which I think means most of the stories and different variations we hear are just basically advertising campaigns. It happened in the Great Patty Caper once, who's to say all the other times aren't similar as well? Does this explain friend or foe? Nope, because I have no idea how to tackle that. Adding on from the ruling government and town question from last time, let's just assume Bikini Bottom is a nation, Neptune rules it, yada yada. So then we have the Bikini Bottom mayor as well as others like the New Kelp City mayor who... Wait, okay, so the mayor of Bikini Bottom also apparently holds New Kelp City, but as it turns out that might also be wrong. So you might know Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. It's the episode name where this lovely close-up comes from. It was actually based off of a chapter book made about 2 or so years beforehand. The plots differ a little bit, but special note goes to the mayor in the book. So there's the mayor of Bikini Bottom, who seems to also oversee New Kelp, the old or book version New Kelp mayor, as well as the relatively new Miss Mayor, who, fun fact, is actually based off the one from the musical. Hey, this is your signal to go give it a watch. It's actually really, really, really good. It's also your cue to go watch my video on it. Just make sure to ignore the mic problems I have in it. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that there is at least some kind of government, even if it really is just like a puppet state for Neptune. They still have jail, as well as federal services such as mail delivery or garbage collection. This leads me to wondering if, and hear me out, stay with me, Bikini Bottom has some form of stand-in for OSHA. I read the wrong line, son of a... Bikini Bottom has some form of OSHA or workers' rights. Surprisingly, yeah, actually just, yeah. The OWS, or Office Worker Safety Department, is a stand-in for OSHA, and as expected values worker safety incredibly high, though they might not have as much power as expected, as the penalty for allowing a worker to get injured in a workplace environment comes out to a single $1. In addition, unions exist in Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob is in the Fry Cooks Union, at least that's what Bummer Vacation tells us. Now we are 2 for 2 with Bummer Vacation showing up in this kind of video. I won't even be surprised anymore if it shows up in a third video of this type, and if we're going to talk about unions and strikes, we may as well ask the important question, what is minimum wage in Bikini Bottom? This is an incredibly conflicted topic. We normally could look at the Krusty Krab and our favorite spongy protagonist, but remember, he's employed by Eugene H. Krabs, the guy who sold his soul for 62 cents. He, for sure, is not paying minimum wage. I mean, it's even shown multiple times that to work for Krabs, you gotta pay him, like in Bossy Boots or Big Pink Loser. Sponge tells Patrick he had to pay Krabs $100 an hour, but he also says that Pat is getting $50 an hour. What? Wait, what? My game theory is that Pat misread. I'm betting on 50 cents an hour. This is also the best time to mention it, but I absolutely love the addition of a vending machine in Krabs' house. It makes perfect sense. Of course he'd try to scam any guest he has over. Who doesn't love Puff Mama and her school? Judging by my analytics, chances are most of you watching can drive, which likely means you took driver's ed. In Bikini Bottom, this is a bit different. So Puff's boating school has first and foremost pretty much been a single classroom building, with the rest of the layout meant for driving practice. You have the entrance going to the building, with the lighthouse right behind. Now, what purpose does the lighthouse serve? Likely storage, as we see exactly that in Lighthouse Louie. The track itself is fairly consistent. Has a few turns, the figure 8, the wall aptly labeled wall, and a few more turns. The rest of the odd additions I think are just variations of tests or practice. You know, stuff like driving upside down or directly at a cameraman, nothing crazy. But let's stop dancing around it. You're here for the interior. A single classroom with a few windows and a bunch of desks. Pretty standard classroom. It actually stays the same for quite a while, until we hit the bully. SpongeBob leaves the room and finds himself in a long hallway featuring lockers and bathrooms as well as a phone. Right at the start, we also see a door with a banner above it as well as a trophy case. Seems like Puff is actually a good teacher when it's not SpongeBob. But note, as SpongeBob runs to the bathrooms, we see a small banner. Join the Glee Club. Huh. Okay. Interesting. So this implies there are various clubs, and the building is big enough to presumably accommodate them. And when Sponge comes back to Puff, as the door swings open, we can see another door in the back. Not too far after this, we see the main entrance door leading directly to the classroom. So the bully seems to show that there is another door leading to the hallway, likely opposite of the entrance door. SpongeBob then asks Puff if he can be in a different class. Okay, no shocker there, Mrs. Puff probably just has other class times. But oh boy, you thought that was bad? you haven't seen anything yet. Enter new student starfish. Pat follows SpongeBob to boating school, nothing crazy. Immediately out of the gate, the main entrance now seems to lead back into that hallway, which now also features a water fountain and 1984-esque Big Brother portrait of Puff Mama, as well as confirming our suspicions of other groups, with this one for a Junior Choral Club. I've got no clue on that one. And bam! We get hit with this shot. So as we theorized, there is some kind of hallway outside Puff's actual classroom. This door to the right is likely the one that we saw in the bully, but that's not really as important as the entire new floor. Following the stairs of learning, we get 2 opposing rooms. What's in them? Good question. My best guess is probably storage. We follow our dumb driving duo through more of the building with the trophy case from earlier. But what does Puff need with a spatula trophy? If you really want to be crazy, maybe you could argue it's a trophy made from having to work at the Krusty Krab that one time, but then that's delving into timeline shenanigans. We're already covering building layout inconsistencies. If we jump into timelines, I think I might have a heart attack. We then enter the main classroom from the hallway. And no opposing door, only the storage closet. Also, did you ever notice how the small map actually just reflects the course? It's a nice detail. There's also Roger and the good noodle board, but I don't really think they give us that much to work with, just like this fish with just the absolute ugliest haircut I have ever seen in my life. Later, right before the big fight, SpongeBob is seen interacting with his locker, a spare outfit change, a lunch, and likely a driving manual. After this, Mrs. Puff's boating school changes back to the general layout, so since this is a cartoon with cartoon logic and is made for entertainment, not consistency, let's ignore that and then ask, why does this happen? One really good explanation I've seen is that every destruction of the boating school leads to it getting rebuilt. My personal take is the building was the single normal room for a while until it got destroyed. I would say it gets rebuilt in an episode with the school before the bully, but funnily enough, that episode, being procrastination, actually has the boating school survive. So one of the other thousands of times the school was destroyed, it was then rebuilt with a second floor as well as a hallway. And then probably destroyed again. And finally, last time I talked about the layout of the Krusty Krab and how it changes alongside the menu, I wanted to address another side of that coin. The popularity. Yes, the Krusty Krab is the most popular and probably powerful business in all of Bikini Bottom. But did you ever notice, particularly early on, that it's more of a rundown, shabby restaurant instead of the lifeblood of the town? Take Patty Hype for instance, absolutely caked in dust and spiders because it lacks atmosphere. For another example, how about Culture Shock? The Krusty Krab gets converted into a talent show to attract customers. Both episodes are about the Krusty Krab trying out gimmicks to reel customers back in. My personal take, I like to think these kinds of episodes take place before most of the others, before SpongeBob is seen as the hamburger messiah. Honestly, now that I think about it, the Krusty Krab really was just a rusty and averagely popular restaurant, but since we view it through SpongeBob's eyes, it of course gets tinted. I find that to be a really interesting point. We are shown quite a few times of scenarios like this. Take Nasty Patty in this dialogue, for example.
But Mr. Krabs, there's no reason to worry. The Krusty Krab is the most perfect place in the universe.
You really haven't got any brains at all, have you, son?
Or take kind of the main shot from Help Wanted. Notice how the smog of the Krusty Krab still shows up? I don't know, find it interesting. I think that's such a cool detail. Wait, that's the end of the script? So I don't really have an outro. I'm kind of just ad-libbing this, so I guess thanks for watching the video.